2019 is the 500th anniversary of the death of Leonardo da Vinci, the original Renaissance man. In honor of this, Accessible Art History is going to take a journey through the life and works of this celebrated genius. Born in 1452, Leonardo was the illegitimate son of a wealthy notary named Piero da Vinci and a peasant girl named Caterina. His surname indicates that he is from a town called Vinci in the Republic of Florence. It also confirms his illegitimate status because he does not have a family name. Leonardo had an informal education until he reached the age of 14 when he joined the workshop of Verrocchio. From ages 14 to 17, Leonardo worked in the workshop of Verrocchio as a studio boy. After that, he was promoted to apprentice. He learned a variety of skills from painting and sculpting to metalworking and even science. This would set the tone for the rest of his life. He would always be curious about the world around him. The first work attributed to Leonardo is an angelic figure in Verrocchio's Baptism of Christ. Even though he was only 20 years old when it was painted, we can already see the artistic genius developing. The golden curls and slightly hazy lines are characteristic of his later work. In fact, there is a story that Verrocchio was so taken by Leonardo's work, he put down his paintbrush and vowed never to pick it up again. This is likely just a tall tale, but it shows how his work was legendary, even at the beginning. Leonardo's Annunciation is the first work that he completed on his own. It is easy to tell that this is an early piece because, although there are some identifiable elements, such as the hair and delicate features, most of the painting is heavily stylized. The angel Gabriel is on the left, while the Virgin Mary is seated on the right. All the lines are straight and clear. The trees in the background are clearly trees, but lack a natural element. Leonardo showcases his raw talent in this painting, but his personal style isn't quite developed yet. There are two versions of the Virgin of the Rocks. This video focuses on the first one that he painted, and it's now hanging in the Louvre. In this scene, the Virgin Mary kneels in the center, one arm draped around the infant John the Baptist, and the other blessing her son, Jesus. The angel Gabriel sits next to Christ, pointing towards John the Baptist. Although they are babies, they are shown interacting in a way that indicates their future roles. John is praying, and Jesus is blessing his cousin. The group is set in a cave, full of sharp rocks, hence the name of the painting. This painting is where we see Leonardo establish himself as an artist. The rocks and plant life are clearly derived from nature. Their realism shows that he had clearly studied elements in real life in order to bring that to his paintings. We also see his use of the sfumato technique. This is where the lines are drawn in such a way where they fade into each other, giving an overall hazy appearance. The Last Supper is one of Da Vinci's most recognizable works. It shows the moment at Passover dinner that Jesus revealed that one of his disciples would betray him. The viewer can feel the emotion emanating from the scene. Some of them recoil in horror, while others point to themselves as if asking, "Will it be me?" This work shows Leonardo's curiosity and love of experimentation because he tried to use a new type of fresco technique. Traditionally, wet plaster was applied to a wall and pigment was added. When the plaster dried, the painting would essentially become a part of the structure. Da Vinci tried to use dry plaster instead, but that didn't adhere to the wall as well. Almost immediately, the painting started to crumble away. The Mona Lisa is arguably the most famous work in art history. Every year, thousands flock to the Louvre just to catch a glimpse of her. Even Da Vinci himself considered her to be his masterpiece. At first glance, it could be hard to see why. She isn't a monumental painting or part of an epic battle scene. But upon closer inspection, it's easy to see why she is so beloved. The most alluring aspect of the Mona Lisa is her half smile. Previously, portraits had a stiff quality to make their subjects seem more composed. However, this painting makes it seem like the Mona Lisa has a secret, and if we lean a little closer, she just might tell us. We can also see the characteristic sfumato technique and Leonardo's attention to natural detail. Salvator Mundi, or Savior of the World, has just recently been attributed to Leonardo. It was known that he did a painting of the same subject, but it has been copied so many times by other artists and members of his workshop, art historians couldn't be sure. For an artist who only had about 20 surviving works, the thought of a new attribution almost seemed too good to be true. However, in 2011, after careful restoration and analysis, it was determined that this painting was in fact a Leonardo original. It was placed up for auction and sold for a record-breaking $450 million. Some of the aspects that led to the identification of this painting are the golden curls, the sfumato technique, especially on the outline of Christ, and the delicate decoration of his robe. Leonardo isn't just famous for his beautiful paintings. He was a prolific writer, and several of his notebooks have been found and studied. One of the most famous images is that of the Vitruvian Man. He drew two men superimposed on each other. Surrounding them are two shapes, a square and a circle. Even though this is just ink on paper, we can still see the characteristics of Leonardo's hand, especially in the curls. In this drawing, Da Vinci is exploring the way that the human form could relate to architectural forms. Underneath the figure, Leonardo wrote about the works of Vitruvius, an ancient Roman architect. He talks about the symmetry of the human body and what ideal measurements were. The Renaissance was a rebirth in learning, and Leonardo took that in stride. One of Leonardo's codices is all about the flight of birds. He was fascinated by the subject and attempted to design his own machines that would allow humans to soar through the air. He studied the way birds use their wings, where their center of gravity would be, and other aspects to help him figure out the mystery of manned flight. It is believed by some scholars that he also used his background in military invention and hoped to use these crafts for martial purposes. From his painting to his scientific studies, it is clear that Leonardo da Vinci was a genius. He spent his life studying the world around him, both trying to figure out what made it tick and also how to make it more beautiful. He passed away in France at the court of King Francis I in 1519. Leonardo da Vinci is the quintessential Renaissance man.